Where are you from, Ojas? And I said, I'm from India. He's like, oh, does that mean you speak terrorist? What the
Hey, it's the Charcha-Cast. He's Ojas Rawal. Welcome very much. Writer, producer, comedian, doctor, general man about town. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so very much.
Kemcho.
Majama.
Majama.
Kemcho.
To you as well. That's going to be the extent of my Gujarati, because Majama sounds like pajama, and that's the only way I can remember it. So look, first question right out the gate. You somehow ended up at the University of South Florida.
I did.
Which is a little random. So how did that journey happen?
So back in 2002, I just finished junior, which would be the 11th and the 12th grade here, which is junior college.
Sure. And
I was looking for opportunities for university, one, which would be prolific in their, not just faculty, but also would have a med school so that their biomedical department would be very strong and robust. They would have a lot of research opportunities at the undergraduate level. And I would also look for a place which wouldn't want me to shovel snow.
Okay.
So
snow is an immediate factor for ruling out schools.
Yeah, for me it was. And the way I got oriented to this whole process was obviously with more than 4,000 universities. It was very difficult for me to figure out, which one to go to. But USIEF, the United States India Education Foundation, in Mumbai, helped me a lot. And I've been working with them ever since for the past, 14, 15 years. And they helped me narrow down universities. I did have some family in Florida.
Okay.
So there was always that leaning, like, oh, okay, maybe Florida gets a priority. But yes, the climate played a big role. And also, so I started out at the Florida Institute of Technology in Melbourne, which is a small little town.
Which is not in Australia. It's a small town in Florida.
Yes, not the Australian city, but Melbourne, Florida, which is on the eastern coast. And then I transferred to the University of South Florida, and then I graduated from there. But yeah, so it was Go Bulls through and through.
Yeah, you're a proud Bull alumni now. But was it always, you said you'd gotten through 11th and 12th grade.
Yes.
Was it always going to be, I'm going to the United States, or did you think about India or other countries overseas?
I had visited the United States in the year 2000.
Okay.
And I was 15 at that time. And I explored, some universities at that time, and really kind of was very interested in going over there. I did not look much into the UK or the other countries. And back then, there weren't very many players in the whole study abroad scenario.
Yeah.
And US continued to be, a premier destination for students who wanted to pursue higher education overseas.
And still is.
Most certainly is.
So you get on the plane, you got some family in Florida, which is nice. But you arrive there, you get there in 2002?
Yes, so 2003 is when I began.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, this is right after 9/11, right?
Yeah.
Or fairly recently after that. The sort of elephant in the room, did you feel any sort of hostility or sort of racial bias or anything?
Not really.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that it was, in the face anywhere, except for a couple of instances where alcohol was involved, in a late night bar somewhere.
Sure.
Where somebody must have, said something to me. But other than that, in the 10 years that I was over there, I don't think I ever faced any racism. But, on a lighter note, I say this very often at the pre-departure orientations of USIEF, that racism exists everywhere. And, just pigeonholing something, or just saying, okay, there's a lot of racism in the U.S. is not very fair, because we have racism in India as well. We do that all the time, and we pick up any of our matrimonial advertisements that you have in the newspaper, and
yes.
And we've been politically correct ever since. We was like, okay, so for example, let's just take skin color for that matter, and you'd say, oh, our daughter is wheatish. It's like, why would you say wheatish? So it's like, the preference for fair versus, wheatish and whatnot. You would have, including fat shaming. It's like, our son, he's healthy.
Is healthy code
it's
for...
it's code for
I'm a little
fat.
Bit bigger? Okay, right
Yeah, and it's so political correctness, arrived a long time ago. But, going back to racism, so I had a roommate, at USF, Vincent Del Monte, and so I checked into the room, set up my stuff, in the dorm, and he was there as well. He'd moved in earlier in the week. So I met him, and then he was like, "Oh, where are you from, Ojas?" And I said, "I'm from India." He's like, "Oh, does that mean you speak terrorist?"
What the heck?
Yeah.
Myself there.
Literally.
Seriously?
Yeah. Do you speak terrorist? Is what the first one.
Is he trying to be funny?
So
and weird.
So had I completely gone in shock, or oh my gosh, this is extremely racist. Had I not been practical, or at least cognizant of what he was saying, I don't think we would have been the BFFs that we are right now. And Vincent and I,
and you're friends.
We are the best of friends. Vincent visited, a couple of times. India. I even dragged him on a panel at the USIEF pre-departure orientation to tell prospective students, specifically because I would mention this anecdote to them every year. And that one year I had him right there. It was like, oh, Exhibit A. And so Vincent and I exchanged a lot of humor, and which would a lot of which would, I don't think, ever see the light of day. Political correctness or not offending anybody, but I think we've, as a community, as a people, I think we've gotten very touchy-feely. We've gotten very easy to get offended.
Sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, whenever people use comedy, there's usually a grain of truth under it somewhere, right?
Correct.
And so, someone asks you something, even if they're trying to be funny, like, do you speak terrorist?
Yeah.
You kind of have an opportunity as an Indian to sort of be like a cultural ambassador for your country.
Yes.
And to be like, well, first of all, in India, like, the guys who wear turbans are Sikhs. They're not,
Correct.
This whole thing, right?
Correct.
So did you have an opportunity to sort of correct some misperceptions?
We did. But then again, I must credit Vincent for being very open-minded, for trying to be, a global citizen.
Sure.
A very small phrase that you would see, it's the tagline of, I guess, the marketing department of the Mumbai airport, the international airport. And it goes, Indian at heart, global in spirit.
Huh.
And I think Vincent kind of mirrored that. He was, I guess, an American at heart, but global in spirit. So he was always very open to ideas, to sharing and whatnot, and also a comedian who never performed on stage.
Sure. All right. So you're at let's transport to a terrible airport in Miami. So you're in
Miami's fun.
You're at the University of South Florida.
Yes.
You meet Vincent. Vincent asks if you speak terrorist. You got to be at some point. You're like, where am I? And what is happening here? Mm-hmm. No, what was the culture shock sort of piece for you?
So one of two things happen when students, I guess, go to the U.S., or this is what I had observed. Either you get completely obliterated, just so intimidated with the culture shock, the classic definition of culture shock, that you try to fit in, you try to do everything possible to merge into that culture. That is one way. And I think the other one is you appreciate that culture, no doubt, but you also fall in love or rediscover the culture that you came from, or the one that you have distanced yourself from geographically.
I think this is a great point. As an American living in India, I find myself appreciating the United States more.
Do you?
Than maybe I used to.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to that, right? It's kind of that you don't know what you had until it's gone.
Yes, right? Very much so. So I think it worked both ways for me. That yes, I got very keenly involved in literature, in a lot of Gujarati literature, in a lot of poetry, theater, and so on and so forth. at the same time appreciating, the American culture and figuring out the nuances.
Sure.
And
could you find dokla in Tampa?
Oh, most certainly. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
The Indian community in Tampa is great.
Huh.
Not just large in number, but also very diverse. So we'd find food wasn't a problem.
How does that work with the Indian diaspora? I'm kind of ignorant on this. Like, you mentioned the Indian community in Tampa, right?
Sure.
Is there like a Gujarati Tampa community, a Punjabi, like?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
You're very right in saying that. So it's called the Gujarati Samaj of Tampa Bay, GSTB.
Yeah.
And they also have a GSTBY, which is the youth wing, of which I happen to be the leader.
There's always a youth wing.
There's always a youth wing, which is the better one and the funner one.
Right.
But yeah, so the community was very helpful. They would put up a lot of shows. They would invite a lot of performances from India, be it plays, concerts, speakers, so on and so forth. They would also have periodic celebrations, be it the Diwali festival, be it Holi festival. But I think one of the things that they were known for in the community, we would have people coming in from Orlando. We would have people coming in from New Jersey as well to this huge celebration called the Tampa, India Fest, which was hosted on the campus of the University of South Florida in the Sun Dome.
Cool.
And not only would it have, commerce is an angle to having these festivals. So you would have a lot of local stores, be it apparel, food stores, jewelry stores, and they would put up shop. At the festival, we would also have a lot of Bollywood celebrities that would come in. We would have a lot of performances, and then we would also have dance competitions.
Nice.
At this 3-day India Fest that would happen.
I don't know how you have a dry state where dancing is popular, because I don't associate those two things together.
It stands as an example and to testify for that for ages.
Yeah,
so,
no, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are your parents thinking about all of this? Right, you're in Florida. Are they really supportive? Are they kind of skeptical? Like who's gonna what version of you is gonna come back to India?
I don't think they were scared.
Okay.
At all. But I don't know if they had expected me to come back this culturally enriched. Or turning it. I think the stint in the U.S., this decade in the U.S., truly made me a global citizen. Is what I truly believe. But the parents were always supportive. We would be very much in touch. And this is, I'm sure you remember, is the day and age where there was no WhatsApp.
Sure.
There were no video calling. There was no, the day and age of the iPhones. So we would have to buy calling cards.
Calling cards, sure,
yes.
right?
So calling cards, $1 calling cards, and you would have to exhaust the minutes that were on there, or they would deplete, over time. And we would speak, and also the voice delay. So you would wait till I was like, hello, yes, Kem Cho. Majama, and so on and so forth. So that would happen, which is also, I think, why nobody's homesick anymore.
Yeah, right. And I mean, if you can make it work with calling cards, surely if you have Skype and WhatsApp and FaceTime and all the
so
rest
much easier,
of it,
just so much easier. But
do you ever write letters?
Yes, I still do write letters.
Do you really?
I do write letters. Yes.
Classy move. I like letters.
Yeah, I like letters too.
Okay, so. South Florida, your parents are there on board, but you're communicating enough. So
yes, they would visit.
On you, they come visit. What starts to surprise you as you're living in the United States? Like, did you not expect, or giant roads? I mean, what was what caught you off guard?
I think primarily because I was on campus almost all my life. I was over there. I was on campus, and the sheer difference between the educational system over there and the educational system over here kind of surprised me.
Okay.
Positively.
Sure.
I wrote a piece on it called The Classroom Chorus. And it could be the simplest of things, you would have an open book exam. I did not know there could be something like an open book exam. I was like, I'm giving it, I have to, there's a book that's right there, the take-home exams.
Take-home exams.
Take-home exams.
That defeats the purpose.
Yeah, well, and then you would think, but then that was designed to, make you think and.
Right. It wasn't so much can you memorize a date. It was
can
you use those dates to sort of conceptualize.
And put your point forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Have a point of view.
Have a point of view.
And learn how to defend it.
Which could be very well unpopular and against what was in the classroom or being discussed in the classroom, and that was fine. So that surprised me. It could be something like seeing students come to the classroom with an apple or in their PJs, and we would not see that over here. And, it would be very different.
Hey, I remember from when I first went to undergrad and seeing people showing up in basically what their pajamas in the morning and thinking, man, where am I?
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, it's 8 a.m. and it's a calculus class. Oh, I'm just having an apple. Like, how is that allowed? It's like, yeah.
Wait, you couldn't eat an apple in an Indian classroom at university?
I don't. No.
Really?
No. That's a big. It also has to do with a lot of the. I think the setting here is very much also associated with a lot of piety, with a lot of it's pious. It's a place of where you worship education and you respect the person who is educating you, and you would have to be prim and proper in a classroom. But yeah, that surprised me. But also what I really enjoyed was the liberty of following my curriculum that was given to me, yes, but also going to swing dance lessons and taekwondo in the evening.
Sure. So you just, I don't think we talked about this yet. You're there studying biomedical sciences, right?
Yes.
So very sort of classical. I'm gonna study. It's engineering or medicine or something.
Medicine, engineering, law.
Right.
Pretty much.
You're following this classic path, but at the same time, there's an opportunity for you to try some of these other things and see what sparks. And this kind of leads me to how do you go from future young doctor to being an actor and a comedian and all this sort of, like what is that transition?
So still, till this date, to this very date, surgery and psychiatry interest me just as much.
Okay.
They continue to be favorites, but at that time the opportunities for biomedical sciences were scant in India, so I had to look for options elsewhere. Pursuing a career in engineering, medicine, which were, the poster children for Indian communities, be it for, even matrimonial purposes. It's like, oh, if you're not a doctor, if you're not a lawyer, if you're not an engineer, one, you're going to have a career that's unstable, and hence you're not going to find a suitable bride.
Right, yeah, okay.
So that, was a concern for a lot of Indian people.
Is that a concern for you, though,
in the extended family, never for me.
You're not
never for me, and never for the parents.
Oh, and your parents were?
Never for the parents.
Okay.
Because both of them pursued something different from their parents. So, they understood why I was doing something different. But yes, I did like very much the biomedical sciences. So I pursued that degree. I got that degree. Was the distinguished student at graduation in the entire batch. And when I came back, I was continuing. There was always this notion of coming back to India and then I think joining a healthcare stream or.
So there was no point where you were like, I'm gonna resettle in the United States.
No.
Okay.
No, I think. Going back to the day I landed in the U.S., I knew I had to go back and look for something else. But yes, the goal morphed, or I think not morphed, I think it evolved. At one point of time, I wanted to pursue pharmacognosy, which is
what is pharmacognosy?
Pharmacognosy is the science of plant medicine. And that is something very relevant to Ayurveda. And that was something that piqued my interest at that time. Over time, I also picked up minors like business administration and so on and so forth. So healthcare management was, coming to be as this destination, so to say. But when I came back, it so happened that I just got immediately absorbed into the arts. I started assisting a very renowned director, the late Kundan Shah in Mumbai, for film, for a Hindi film in Bollywood, and simultaneously I also started doing stand-up in India, in Gujarati, and.
But something I'm very interested in are like
Sure.
these decision points, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have in their head, like, oh, it'd be neat to do a stand-up comedy bit or go to an open mic or
Correct.
something. But taking that leap and actually doing it, like what was going on with you that you felt, I'm going to do this?
I think the thought that let's try this, let's take the initiative, and if it works, if I'm any good at it, then I'll continue it, and I'll pick it up as something that I do, and then picking up a lot of things so in this manner helped me diversify the portfolio. But at any given point of time, I did know that let me try this, let me try stand-up, let me try film, let me try theater, and if I'm any good at it, I'll know immediately. Like if you're a bad comedian, if you're a comedian who's really not working,
Yeah, but so many of us are afraid of failure, right?
Yes.
And that becomes this
Yes.
like overriding motivating factor to be like, there is no way I'm going to go out there and like I don't want to fail, so I won't do it. So how do you overcome the fear of failure?
I don't think I've ever thought of failure or thought of, I think, paralyze myself by thinking of it too much.
Really?
Yeah, I think I never let it get to a point where it becomes a fear.
Okay.
I remember I applied for the White House internship.
What?
Yes, and I applied for it once, and I didn't make it to the first round in my first attempt. But that never bogged me down. It's like, okay, maybe I'll apply another time, and for maybe a different administration. And I reapplied. For the second time, I got around to the interview round, and I cleared the interview round. And I think that's when I think they sorted, and they were like, okay, you didn't make it to the final selection. But I think that never bogged me down, where failure was never a fear.
Yeah.
Failure was always, okay, for example, I think I could relate to that in stand-up terms as well. Like, okay, I write this set, it's a joke about, I don't know, this mug here. The joke doesn't work. You're not laughing, nobody in the studio is laughing. I try it again, I add more tags to it. It's like, oh, okay, so this joke does not work. Maybe I'll write another joke.
But that feeling, like if you talk to stand-up comics, they say when a joke bombs, that's like the absolute worst feeling.
Oh yeah.
That yet somehow you overcome that.
So I'll share something that's very personal. Over time, so this might sound very eerie. This might sound very extraterrestrial, but this is what I've felt over the years, over these 8 to 9 years of doing professional stand-up. There comes a point when you're on stage where I think my conscious body is, getting out, and I see myself performing on stage. It's like, oh, okay, there's a separation. It's almost like a sci-fi movie on stage, but the only audience member is me. So this body comes out, and it's this surreal feeling where I see myself performing, and yes, when I bomb, I also see myself shifting gears to maybe a safer set, or a set that, it's like, okay, this is a guaranteed hit, and I would, move to that, not falling prey to the fear of, oh my God, this joke didn't work. Oh, there's no laugh. Oh, they're disconnecting. Oh my gosh. Oh, people are leaving, or and I think that kind of developed a lot of skill, developed a lot of awareness that how to deal with hecklers. How to deal with a rowdy audience, how to deal with an audience that just figured that, oh, the food counters have opened, or the bar has just opened, and in an audience of 250, all you're left with is 12 people.
Really? This has happened?
This has happened.
And what do? You just keep on keeping on?
Keep on going. And so we've had all kinds of experiences when performing stand-up. There's, just give you a couple of examples. There was this one time where it's a ritual, it's a ceremony that a lot of the Hindus follow, where the baby's head is shaved off. I don't remember when they do the mundan. It's called the mundan vidhi, where the baby's head is shaved off. And some of them, I think, take the hair and for some prayer to the temples. But that's something that the Hindus have followed, and we were invited to perform there. Yeah. They were a very adventurous group of people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and when I got the call, I spoke to the manager. I was like, "We have to perform at a Mundan." She's like, "Yeah, sure, let's go."
Take the gig.
All right, yeah, take the gig. So we go to this place, and then we're performing. This kid is on stage with the barber, and the kid is performing his own bit of crying. This is like, oh my God, Mom, what was going on? Oh my God! And while I am performing on stage, and this is ridiculous simultaneously. And I had to stop my set, and I had to call the mom, and I was like, either let his bit finish or let my bit finish. Can we please not do this together? And her justification was that, we have the hall only till 11 o'clock, Ojas. We have to let both the shows go on at the same time. So we would have these shows. This was at a wedding where a very popular Hindi film actress was performing before us. And she went on stage, and she had her song and dance routine, which was great. And right after that, the comedians never even got a chance to perform, and I could just hear the bottles opening at the back. And I said, we're doomed. And the people who had booked us, they came in and into the room, and they were like, we're just going to straight to the DJ dance and party, and that's all. Well, yeah, you guys can leave. And we said, we haven't even performed. Oh no, we'll give you the payment. Don't worry, you can also come and dance with us. So we've had all kinds of jabs. So no egos anymore.
Hey, at least you got paid, man.
Yeah, yes we did. So yeah.
Tell me about the first time you ever did an open mic or a stand-up set.
So I think the seeds were sown when I was in Mumbai at my, be it a school or the junior college, the 11th and the 12th grade. We would have these student government, like what we would have student governments in the United States universities. We'd have the student council or any variant of that name over here in Mumbai, and they would put up a festival of the science department, the commerce department, so on and so forth. And I would perform there. And the very first time I performed there, I did a bit for 5 minutes.
Okay.
And the audience loved it so much that they requested me to come back on stage after a couple of performances, and I said, I don't have that much material. What
was in your first 5 minutes? What killed on your first?
I did some Bollywood impersonations.
Okay.
And then turned it into a set of all these Bollywood personalities going on this vacation. I don't even remember the set anymore, but they go on a vacation, and how things get chaotic, and that was a funny bit. But then I think that was just at the school college level. But I do remember that my very first audience, my very first gig, unpaid, was for the Indian students community at the Florida Institute of Technology.
Oh my God, you're in the United States.
In the United States. I am 17 at that time, or 17, yeah, and I'm performing in god-awful silver shoes. And yeah. Fashion has always been a problem. So silver shoes in this basement called the Rathskeller. It's called the Rat. It was like a dining area in
the Rat.
The Rat, yeah. So let's meet at the Rat.
Rethought that name.
Well, yeah. Rathskeller is what the abbreviation was for. We met there, and the Indian students community had put up a show, and some friends of mine, they were like, we're putting you up on stage. And I said, I don't do stand-up, you know that, right? No, just do what you do, for us back in the dorm. And I was like, okay. And then I started doing it, and then it really, kind of morphed into this.
Was it in English, or were you?
So that was a mix. Because we had an Indian community. So we would have some Gujaratis, maybe some non-Gujaratis. We would have Punjabis. We would have people who were from the north. We would have Hindi-speaking people. We would have a Marathi guy sitting in the audience. And so I had to keep it a mix.
Yeah.
So Hindi and English. So English, I think, was what the show was.
But as a comedian in India, though, isn't language a problem? I mean, you've got Marathi and Hindi and Gujarati, Malayalam, and all the rest of it. How do you sort of pick your area to focus on?
By looking at the audience.
Okay.
Or by gauging the audience. And if I'm performing in a college in Mumbai, so English is the way to go. If I'm performing for an elderly couple who is celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary in Gujarat, then it's going to be purely in Gujarati.
Is it the same material, though, that you're translating, or are you tailoring it?
I keep catering it to, or custom designing it to whatever the gig is. Obviously, we keep writing content, keep collecting content, and also evolving content. So a lot of comedians say there's a mother set, and then you start adding more tags to it, and then it turns into this beautiful thing. But yeah, so I cater it according to what the audience is like, and it's good that there are so many languages, and I happen to speak 5 of them, so which is great and helps me a lot. So when I shift gears on stage, be it this accented English, or if I talk to you like this, where I am sitting in this interview and I have to give it the best shot, or it could be something like this, which is typically when maybe a Marathi person will speak English, this is how they will talk. And if Gujarati speak English, then great. It is आम केवा जाए तो बहुत जोरदार. It is like that. So moving, shifting gears through all of that, and
it's yes. I was thinking about certain politicians who are from your native state and how they
yes,
sort of
isn't it fun?
Yeah.
So when you look at the upper house and lower house of the Indian Parliament,
you could tell right away, right?
Yeah. It's almost like a show and tell. It's like, guess the region where they hail from.
Right on.
I have so many questions for you right after we cut this interview.
We'll save that for the director's cut.
For the roles reversed.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of unnamed Gujarati politicians, do you ever find yourself censoring yourself or avoiding political topics or sensitive cultural topics?
Not consciously.
Okay.
I don't have the fear of which a lot of comedians was like, would never say that on stage, or I don't want to get beaten up or arrested for saying whatever. And a lot of comedians have faced trouble if they do a certain genre of comedy. Political satire can be beautiful. Political satire, if done very well, can be very tasteful. There was a television show called The Flop Show by Jaspal Bhatti. If you've never had a chance to look at it, please do. It's a lot of the episodes are online. I think that was one of the finest political satires we've ever had. The director whom I assisted, Mr. Kundan Shah, the late Mr. Kundan Shah, his last film, which I was helping him on, was Peese PM Tak, which is the story of a prostitute who becomes the prime minister in 4 days just by a stroke of luck. And it's funny film. And that was pure political satire. I've never done it I would never do it to get more views, to get more eyeballs, to get more mileage in the race, if there ever is a race. I think there is a race to, here's my set, I've released 2 specials on the online platforms or so on and so forth. But I was never in that race to release something, to release content where I had to get ahead of a lot of the comedians by doing controversial stuff. So one was never afraid, or was never keen to take that route for those reasons. Two, somehow that never interested me to kind of pick on them just for the hell of picking on it, or just for the heck of doing it. But yes, there is some political comedy that finds its way into my content or in my sets, and I'm very okay with that.
Yeah.
If presented in a nice manner. In fact, I have performed some of those jokes. I've performed that political comedy in front of said Gujarati politicians.
Oh, and no one met you in the parking lot?
And no one met me in the parking lot. In fact, they met me backstage saying that this is, and this is obviously when the cameras weren't rolling, and this was in a very intimate setting. It was, a luncheon that was organized for foreign guests, and, taking jabs at them when they're sitting there with foreign counterparts. With their cultural attaches and ambassadors and whatnot, and they all had a hearty laugh. So
good. Okay. I mean, we'll probably have to leave it there for now. But thank you so much for coming on. What's the best way for people to follow you? Like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram?
So social media is the best way. Ojas Rawal on Instagram.
Okay.
Rawal Ojas on Twitter, and Ojas Rawal on Facebook.
Okay.
The page
and
the person.
Coming out?
Yes, there's a film coming out called titled Miss Masala Dosa, which is slated for, I think, late summer, and my play, which is Mera Piya Gharaya, which is going to be touring in the summer, and it's a horror comedy that I think everybody. It is a horror comedy. And it's in Gujarati.
Okay.
So Gujarati plays, very rarely would you find a horror comedy in it. So
you're breaking new ground in Gujarati horror comedy.
Yeah. So fun to do.
Cool. All right. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so very much, and thank you to the entire team for this wonderful initiative, this dialogue that we can have.
No, I enjoyed our conversation. Maybe we can have you on again to pick up some more stuff on comedy. And
that would be a privilege. Thank you so very much.
All right, that's the Charcha-Cast. He's Ojas Rawal. I'm Nick Novak.